Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Performance E Streaming. It is Thursday night, and that means only one thing. Yes, it is time for the ANZCAR Cup here tonight. I am, as ever, Mr. Carl Wilkinson with you up here in the box tonight, and I am joined by Mr. Mark Johansson. Mark, how are you going, buddy?
Yeah, good, mate. Good, and good to see everyone here at Pocono tonight. Going to be an interesting race, a fast track and a very tricky track.
Absolutely. I don't call it the tricky triangle for nothing. And we also have, as ever, up here doing all the hard work, Mr. Matt Hunter. Matt, how you going, buddy?
Yeah, going good. Yep. Looking forward to this one. One of my favoured tracks with the 3 different unique corners and and the wide track action on it.
Absolutely. Well, we'll get more into the track details in just a couple of moments, just quickly before we head into everything else. Quick glance at the old weather forecast. And it is pretty warm out there on track tonight. 40-degree track temperature. That is going to hurt on these very fast corners. 26-degree air temperature, that's not too bad. At least the engines will be able to breathe, but that air temperature, that track temperature is going to be a key feature. A little bit of wind in the northwesterly direction as well, and that can sometimes offset the cars a little bit, unsettle them as they are going through these very high speed turns. And well, we've also got the championships and points to discuss tonight as well. And well, in the race for the chase for the chance to get into the playoffs this season, of course, if you get a victory under your belt, you're securing your spot into the playoffs. And then it is the points holders into the next few positions. And currently, Andrew Dyson, with his very good streak at the moment, it's looking good. He has taken out 7 wins now, I think it is, with Neil Pearson with 6 wins. DPR have absolutely been knocking it out of the park. Toby Stent, 2 wins to his name this season, is having a good one at the moment, just away for the time being. We wish him well. Daniel Hedderscheid, of course, another one of those drivers with the W next to his name. He's going to be hoping he can get a good one tonight, as well as Jai Schultz, of course, for Inside the Lane Productions. He's going to be chuffed with that victory, so he's got himself secured. Of course, on the points, it's Ruben Phelps who jumps up into the top spot, taking it away from his teammate Lachlan Urquio. Then we have Maddie Ray down behind him. It's an SRM top 3 for points. Dave Douglas sits 62 points back, and then Joshua Carroll in 22 with Stevie Dove, Jamie Nankervis, Kobe Jordan, Christopher Tomlin, and Norman Clark just outside of that secure position at the moment. They're going to want to get some points tonight and try and lift themselves up the table a little bit, get themselves into the chase with a fighting chance. Mark, it's a track that you like, I know, and Matt as well. Pocono. It is a very tricky place, though, indeed.
Yeah, it's 3 different corners, 3 different lines through these corners. The first one, you kind of sort of want to stay off that low line and run mid-track. Well, that's the way I do it anyway. Then you've got that real long backstretch down into turn 2. And that one, you want to stay right out against the wall and come down on that yellow line you can see just there and run the traditional line through there. Then back out towards the wall as Pearson does there. The third turn, you want to stay as high as you can. Start to turn in early, mid-track. Just scrape that ripple strip on the inside of turn 3, and then let it run back out to the wall.
Absolutely. It's one of those ovals where, you just want to touch the ripple strip a little bit. That little bit of curbing is kind of important. So we are going to be getting ready for the start here. Let's run through the starting grid for tonight's race. It's round 21 of 36 here. We're getting close to the end of the season for sure, but still a fair few races to go. Up on the front row, it is Andrew Dyson taking pole position tonight ahead of Ryan Jones on his outside. Row number 2 sees Barry Neal and Dave Douglas lining up next to each other. Neil Pearson's lining up with Joshua Carroll-Walden on the 3rd row. Stevie Dubb has Lachlan Urquhart for company on row number 4. Brenton Henderson has a good run up in the 5th row next to Daniel Hedderscheid. Jai Schultz and Maddie Ray make up our 6th row tonight. Row number 7, Shane Bowen with Tristan Koch. Phil Otto and Raymond Yeager make up row number 8. Row number 9 sees Brad Fenley and Alexander Sheridan. Ruben Phelps and Riley Curtis are on the 10th row. It's Norman Clark with Jane Ankervis of Black Arrows, row 11. Christopher Tomlin and Andy Barber make up our 12th row. And Kobe Jordan is finished starting out of row number 13, all on his lonesome tonight. The cars start pulling away here at Pocono. We are getting ready for tonight's race here at Long Pond, Pennsylvania. And going to be plenty of fun, plenty of action here for everybody. It's a long old formation lap, getting up to speed, getting up to temperature, getting ready for this run, of course. And everybody will be, getting ready for this race tonight. And, well, you've got to say, it's going to be hard to beat the DPR cars. They have been on fire recently, really taking like a duck to water with the fixed setup changes that we have, the fixed open setup that we run for the ANZCAR Cup. Of course, if this is your first time watching and joining us tonight, well, first of all, welcome, of course. Thank you very much for watching. And make sure to hit the subscribe and like button. I know you hate hearing it and I hate saying it, but it does make a difference when you mention that little thing. But we run a fixed open setup here for the ANZCAR Cup, and that means all the drivers start on the same setup. They're not allowed to tweak the major things. They can turn their steering ratio a little bit and their brake bias, but the everything else is set. Once we get racing, though, they can dart down pit lane, change the pressures on the tyres, and also change the bump a little bit, changing the suspension movement. And that makes a big difference in these races. So it can really bring some different racing. So see who takes advantage of that tonight. Pace car pulls in, and we are going green here tonight at Pocono. It's race 21 of 36 here on Performance Eat Streaming. Let's enjoy these cars roaring away. Oh, we're not going to be enjoying it because we've got a huge wreck on the start-finish line. Big wreck back there already early on in this race. And what has happened here? Oh, Daniel Hedderscheid is the cause of that one. And it was in a really bad spot. Daniel Hedderscheid starting up in the middle of the pack. And, well, from the looks and sound of it, he has snagged the wrong gear, taking it up to the line. Instead of shifting it up into 3rd gear, he's dropped it down into 1st. And, well, everybody behind has had a huge accident. Let's watch this one now. You see everybody's starting to pull away. He's right underneath the back of Urquhart there, getting ready for this start. Pulls it away and then bang, puts it into the wrong gear. It sends the back around. Maddie Ray, nowhere to go. Raymond Yeager as well. Brad Fenley doesn't stop in time. Hopefully doesn't get too much damage. But that is a dramatic start for the race here at Pocono.
Yeah, it's not a good way to start the race, and I know what that feels like. I've done it at Daytona, and it is a gut-wrenching feeling. And you straight away you're on the radio, and yeah, look, saying to the guys, sorry guys, I didn't mean that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things of it's a horrible feeling when you make a mistake like that, especially at the start of a big race like this one, and it can very easily ruin your night. Now, we'll wait for everything to settle down a little bit because the flag came out just before the pace car got settled. It's really mixed up the grid a little bit, and as you can see, we're on board with Hedderscheid at the moment, and there's a bit of a mix-up through the field as people as they basically caught the back of the field, so it's really jumbled things up through the pack because there's sort of a few people are out of place at the moment.
Yeah, just listening back to that, he definitely went second to 1st gear there, unfortunately.
Yeah, big mistake. And look, that's one of the things with this car. Of course, it's got the sequential box on it, and a lot of the drivers, depending on what kind of sort of rig you've got as well, that can make a big difference. If you've got the H pattern box, it's very easy to accidentally drop it into the wrong gear when you're shifting through, and you can sometimes find yourself dropping yourself from fourth into first and things like that. Very easy to be done. If you're using
Yeah.
a sequential box, all it takes is a little twitch on the wrong paddle and it will shift it down rather than up.
I was just going to say, depending on what brand of gear you're running too, there's no real gateways either in the H boxes.
Yeah, it does make I've shifted into the wrong gear with an H pattern before, and it's a horrible feeling, And I've also downshifted accidentally in with a flappy paddle as well, and it's very easy to do. Just having that little twitch or something like that in the wrong place, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a whole heap of trouble. Now, because the caution came out before the start finish line, effectively, it has jumbled things up in the pack. There are a few cars that are sitting there. They're going to get the wave around here, and they will be getting back onto the lead lap. Andy Barber has lost a lap, unfortunately, so he is down one lap here, and he'll be hoping for a secondary caution just to maybe get himself back into the race. And Maddie Ray is getting some serious repairs done as well. Hopefully we can see the SRM machine back out in this race. The mobile braking mechanical team will be working hard on that one to get it back out for tonight's race here at Pocono. But he has received a lot of damage in that car. So it's going to be a long old night for some of these drivers. They've got damage limitation. They've got they've got to really just fight their way back on into this race with some serious issues. One good thing about the wave around here, I guess, is you sort of can catch up to the back of the field almost because it is such a long lap mark.
Yeah, definitely. And anyone with damage on the car here is really going to be hindered tonight because this is so aero dependent, this track. You can't have any damage on the front. You can probably get away with a little bit on the rear end, but you definitely want that nose clean.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a very, very fast track here at Pocono, the tricky triangle that it is. I'm just sort of browsing through, and really I think the worst damage through the pack is Maddie Ray and Daniel Hederscheid. Those two have really got the biggest damage on the cars, but they might be able to salvage something out of this race. Pace car is pulling in, and we're going to go green here at Pocono. Here at Long Pond in Pennsylvania, and into the restart zone they go, and Andrew Dyson leads us away as we get racing once again. 75 laps to go. Let's enjoy these cars roaring around the tricky triangle. Come to the line for the first racing lap tonight is Andrew Dyson in the lead. Ryan Jones, Dave Douglas, Barry Neal and Neil Pearson. That's our top five at the moment. Keep an eye out for JCW, Lachlan Urquio and Tristan Gotch and Raymond Yeager. A couple of them came in for some repairs, but others came in for a little bit of a tweak on the car. So they might have a bit of an advantage here come the long run. They might have a little bit less wear. They might be a little bit more comfortable in the cars, and this could be an opportunity for them tonight to make some moves up the field. Speaking of trying to make some moves, Dave Douglas is all over the back of Ryan Jones at the moment, and they got Barry Neal for company too. Barry Neal, no slouch around a track like this. He is very good on his tyres and very good at running a slightly lower line. He will take advantage of that tonight.
Yeah, he definitely will. I don't know if you've seen on that restart, Carl, Christopher Tomlin put a big slide job on the Phil Otto, and we almost had another caution straight away.
Yeah, in turn 1, I think it was.
Yeah, in turn 1.
Big moment. But luckily, they sort of got away with it. Phil dropped a couple of positions, but he sort of settled down in the Kingsman racing car up in P14. And he is just in front of Tristan Koch and Ruben Phelps at the moment. And keep an eye on Tristan Koch as well. He's another one of those drivers that came into the lane to do a couple of little tweaks. He's going to see how that one unfolds. But at the moment, Ruben Phelps is making a run on him as Raymond Yeager is making a move on Phil Otto too. So some good moves going on early in this race. Meanwhile, up the front, Barry Neal's moved his way up into third position as he charges his way up the field and seeing what he can take advantage of tonight. Side-by-side action as Lachlan Oakville goes down on the inside of Shane Bowen as well.
Yeah, there's some definitely guys trying to make some early moves and get up towards the front. But we're starting to get a little bit spread out. A lot of these guys now are in single file, and will run that way for most of the race and until they can fill that last 10, 15 laps or so, and then we'll see some real battles come on.
And sometimes don't want to sort of bolt too early on a track like this. You sort of want to save a little bit for those latter stages and see what you can take advantage of.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I've been told we can get probably 25 to 30 laps in a tank of fuel, but with this heat, Carl, I don't know if the tyres are going to last that long.
Yeah, the tyre temperature is going to be a real issue tonight. Pocono is not exactly a tyre-friendly track to begin with. It might not be wear that's the big key factor there as well. It's that sort of thermal degradation, that sort of heat that gets into the tyre and just makes them turn into big sort of, well, almost melted marshmallows. They have no grip at all, and they are absolutely hopeless to drive on, and it's a horrible feeling when you get too much heat in those tyres. The rears will be screaming by the end of this stint.
Yeah, especially if guys run. If we don't see another caution towards that 28, 29 laps where they'll be looking to come in, it's definitely going to be Josh Schultz hits the wall there hard out of turn 4. Really going to be marshmallow man. But I've also been told that the cars are pretty neutral to start with. If they haven't been in do any changes towards the end of the stint, towards that lap 20, the cars really tighten up and start to get
Okay, so that'll be interesting to see on that. That's going to be where somebody like Joshua Walden and Lachlan Oakville, they might come back into this race as they've come down pit lane, possibly chucked on a set of tyres and reduced the pressure inside of them just to give them a little bit more longevity and just help keep the heat a little bit more friendly to them. And at the end of a longer stint, that might be where it really pays off for them. We've got Raymond Yeager there on screen at the moment. He got away relatively unscathed. There's a bit of damage on the nose of the RKJ Web Services car, but he is pressing on. Meanwhile, up the front, you can see them darting all over the road here, and that's not blocking the car behind them, not sort of moving in a position to stop the car from overtaking them, but it's moving to try and break the draft behind them, of course. It is such a big circuit here at Pocono. You get such a huge slipstreaming effect down the straights. If you can sort of break that to the car behind, you can sometimes pull yourself a bit of a gap.
Yeah, definitely. I missed because what happened. Did Jai come into the pits on that caution?
No. So the only cars that came in were Lachlan Oakville, Joshua Carroll Walden, Raymond Yeager, and Tristan Koch, with Andy Barber and Matty Ray, of course, coming in for the repairs. Yes. So there's not been many deciding to come in, and I think a lot of that was to do with the with the issue with the fact that we had the caution
think
before the
Jaggers
start-finish line.
I think Jaggers just come into the pit. I've seen someone duck off into the pit lane there.
As indeed, and I wonder if that's because the 23 is overheating a little bit or being a bit problematic, because he did take a fairly decent whack on the front of that car, and I wonder if that might be a issue for it rather than just a normal pit stop, because we're only 12 laps in. Looks like he's taken it behind the wall, so night over and done with for Raymond Yeager, unfortunately. This early in the race, and that's not what you want to see happening. Meanwhile, Jai Schultz is making a move on Stevie Dubb at the moment. Side by side they are through the final turn. Jai has a big helping of oversteer on the exit, has to counter steer through the exit of that corner, and Stevie Dubb keeps his position.
And just behind them, you can see Lachlan Earthligo making a move on JCW.
Yeah, working hard out there tonight. And a big thank you to Raymond Yeager as well for jumping on and giving us a hand with the administration side of things, while Edward Foster is busy learning and things like that. And it's always nice to have a little bit of help from the community. As you see, the battle here between Erquio and Carol Walden, side by side they are. And these cars both been down pit lane, and they have Ruben Phelps for company as well. Ruben is very strong on this circuit, and look at him go at the moment. He is really pushing it, going down the inside, trying to mirror the move of his teammate there. The two SRM cars moving up. They slide out the corner side by side. Erquio keeps himself ahead of Phelps as they race on here. Lap 14 of 80, 66 to go.
You can see there on that move where Phelps came down on that line that I was talking about there, almost touching the little ripple strip through turn 3, and Lachlan was a little bit wider, and Ruben was able to get up alongside him, but unfortunately didn't have enough carry speed to get past him, so he had to drop back in behind his teammate.
Yeah, that sort of move can work really well if there's a car in front, if you're quite close to the car in front, I should say. So they've got Christopher Tomlin up in front of them at the moment, and if Tomlin was a little bit closer, Ruben could have taken advantage of that and sort of got into the draft through that corner. But it's always the way, if a car gets up on that slightly higher line, they're going to have a better exit out the corner. They can take a little bit more momentum and get the run. As we see the SRM boys battling it out at the moment, and it looks like Ruben might have this move made.
And Pearson's making a move on Neil for second. For fourth.
Barry Neal gets dangerously close to the wall there. Absolutely nothing between himself and the barrier. He is racing hard and he's trying to keep himself up there, but Neil Pearson makes the move there in the 62. And now Dave Douglas is thinking, well, what Pearson does, I can do better. And Dave is thinking to have a bit of a run here, gets down the inside in the number 10. The casting couch makes the move, gets the inside of that corner as well, and that's going to mean Barry's slightly out of position and just costs him a little bit of speed through the corner. Nice bit of movement there. And look, that's one thing that can happen on a track like this, Mark, isn't it? When you get overtaken by one car, you can sometimes lose a couple of spots, as Pearson makes the move on Ryan Jones now.
Yeah, you can very quickly find yourself tumbling down the field once you start to lose spots. Pearson's made two great moves there, both on turns and being able to drive under the guys that he's passed.
Yeah, that says to me that he's maybe saved a little bit more tyre in the early stint. As Douglas and Jones make contact! Barry Neal into the wall! They have just about made it through without bringing out a caution, but Barry Neal's race has got to be over. The left front of that car is very much done. He's trying to limp it back to pit lane, trying to get it down on the inside as well. As that is a night over and done with for the 22. So let's bring up the replay here on that one. So big implications there, big accident, and unfortunately Barry Neal, the innocent victim in all of that one. As we see Neil Pearson up there battling it out with Ryan Jones. And it just looked like Ryan just checked up a little bit and just caught Dave out of sorts. And that little checkup turned into a big, big moment here at Pocono. And see that just goes sideways. Barry Neal tries to get out of it, tries to avoid it, but has nowhere to go. Catches Dave, and it just pings him down to the inside wall, unfortunately. And that is that for the 22. Barry Neal's race is, well, you've got to say Barry Neal's race is over and done with. Unfortunate there for him. Very much an innocent victim in all of that. It's closed up the field a lot, though. Dave Douglas has got Jai Schultz for company now, and they are really, really pushing pressure on him as Jai looks to go down the inside. The 27's making the move. Down the inside of Dave Douglas goes Jai Schultz. Nicely done there. And he moves himself up another position. Stevie Dubb looking racy as well with Brenton Henderson, Chris Patton and Ruben Phelps for company back there. Ryan Jones has lost a lot of positions from that checkup. He's fallen behind Ruben Phelps down into 9th spot with Urquio behind him.
I'll tell you what, if I was Dave Douglas, I'd be sending Barry Neal a thank you letter, because if it wasn't for Neal, I think Dave would have found the inside fence on that move.
Yeah, it sort of just jotted him back onto the racing line a bit, didn't it, really? But yeah, really, really unfortunate there for Barry, and a big shame for his races. He was having a solid run out there tonight, but we've got some major racing going on at the moment, as nothing is covering the position from 3rd down to 10th. There is barely any margin at all. It's all, they get a little bit scary going through the corner there. They keep it in action. Chris Patton doing a great job to keep the car in the right direction there. Just ahead of Brenton Henderson and Ruben Phelps. The teammates fighting hard behind. Lots of battling going on track at the moment.
Yeah, I've just been down there and spoken to Barry. As his night definitely over. 9 minutes of repairs and I think he said 20 minutes of optional.
Yeah, the left front of that car was hanging off in an unfortunate way. That is a big shame, as the racing is still going on here, and you can see these cars are starting to get a little bit hot under tyre, as Stevie Dubb now looking to make a move as well. The veteran in the 98 DPR car having a good run on Dave Douglas there, and makes the move down into turn 2. And pushes himself up into 4th position. Chris Tomlin getting a good run. Tomlin having a very strong run tonight, up in 6th position. He's made 17 positions in this race. Really going well here at Pocono. And just also, Jai Schultz has got a nice new paint job tonight. A very, very pretty purpley colour on that car. Something I noticed just before, and looking very nice out there indeed.
I wish those boys would stop changing, because I went looking for him to see where he was, and I couldn't pick his car.
I know, it doesn't make it easy, does it? It's when people change the paint colours a little bit. It's like Lachlan Urquio's done a bit of a change as well. Tiny bit of change of colours as well. You just glance up and you go, which one is that? Which one is that? And yeah, very easy to struggle to pick out the cars. Up the front, Andrew Dyson has got a 2.2 second lead over his teammate Neil Pearson, and they have got about a 5-6 second lead over Jai Schultz from the leader to 3rd position at the moment. So DPR are starting to charge ahead at the moment, and they got Stevie Dubb coming along, being Tailgun Charlie, and working well to move himself up there. If he can get himself up into 3rd position, so they are going to be very happy to get all 3 of their cars on the podium. JCW having a big moment coming out of 3. There was a big checkup I saw sort of happening back there. JCW having a big sideways moment going into the corner, and he's just lost a lot of momentum and places.
Oh, I just see in the chat, our wandering racer is tuned in tonight. He's been able to find some internet. So evening, Mr. Allison, and glad to have you back and tuned in.
Always nice to hear from Brad. We hope he is doing well as he's gallivanting across Australia at the moment. and we hope he can enjoy some of this great racing we're seeing at the moment. As Brenton Henderson has a big slide coming out the corner. These tyres are looking like they are dropping as JCW. He's gonna hold it. No, he's not. Yes, he is. No, he's not.
And it's right when about at lap 23, as the guys told me, they get to that lap 20 and the tyres really start to drop off.
Yeah, you saw that with. Sorry, Matt.
I was just going to jump in and say that we're starting to see a few cars really starting to kick sideways on the corner exits when they put the power down. Dave Douglas has dropped a whole bunch of spots, and that group that he's been racing in, they're all coming off the corner, are all starting to look a little bit sideways.
Yeah, it really looks like the rears have just dropped off the cliff, and you can see that the way the cars are going. Those drivers that have protected the rears a little bit are still going along at a fair rate of knots, but the drivers who have been racing hard and have got some heat in those rear tyres are really starting to struggle now, and the car is just absolutely kicking off. Kobe Jordan now with Brad Fenley and Alexander Sheridan. That's for 16th, 17th and 18th in the race. Plenty of racing going on, but you just get the feeling we might see a caution soon, because these cars are getting very tricky to drive.
And if the tyres are this bad now, imagine what they're going to be like in another 6 laps when they're going to really need to come down pit lane. The guys that haven't been through pit lane, the fuel.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. As we see Kobe Jordan making a nice move there on Brad. And it looks like, I've got to say, the inside lane production teams, they've sort of done a relatively good job of looking after those rear tyres. I've been watching their cars, and they've been relatively smooth on the exits, and they're sort of starting to get a little bit of a reward for that. This is where you need to drive it like you've got an egg under the accelerator pedal. You just got to gently press it. You don't want to crack it. You've just got to be so careful on that accelerator pedal, just to get the car moving in the right direction, because it's so easy to go a little bit too hard and find yourself spinning very, very quickly. Jamie Nankervis, who we saw on screen just then in the Black Arrow, of 11 positions, having a good run in tonight's race. He's got Andy Barber behind him, who is trying to make back a lap at the moment.
Oh, you can see there he gets very taily.
Andy just needs to stick and keep doing what he's doing, just keep the car clean, and hope he gets a caution to get back on the lead lap.
As we've got a car in pit lane, and it is Jai Schultz. He's decided to pull the pin, become the first car to come in here, lap 26 of 80. 54 to go here tonight.
Jordan's in behind him.
So teammate decision there. They've decided it's time. Christopher Tomlin racing side by side. It's contact, and this is going to bring the caution flag out. Brenton Henderson and Christopher Tomlin make contact.
Looks like they're getting loose off the corner, didn't it?
Yeah, that car just got a little bit tail happy. So let's see here between the two cars. And Tomlin sort of got held up high. And, it gets a little bit harder as the race goes on, and it just gets out from underneath him. He has a little bit of a moment, and back end steps out, and he just goes into the back of Brenton Henderson, and it just unsettles the 81, unfortunately, in the race, and he manages to save it. And just a little bit behind, Andy Barber, he sort of went into avoidance mode and caught the rear brakes. So that might be bad news for him, because that might cost him the lucky dog spot. So this does work out for Jai Schultz and Kobe Jordan, who have just made their pit stops. They will be catching the field, and they might even inherit the lead for this one.
Yeah, if everyone comes down pit lane, yeah, they definitely will. They'll inherit the lead through the pit stops.
Absolutely, as we are seeing the cars come round, and this is going to gives everybody an opportunity to get those fresh boots. I don't really see anybody staying out. Do you, Mark?
Only a brave man would.
As they come into the lane, and Neil Pearson absolutely taking advantage of that, really gets up close behind Daiso. So, a lot of time to be gained and lost through pit lane. Now, anybody going to be brave and just take, say, right or left side only? I'm honestly thinking it's going to be all 4 tyres for this stop.
Yeah, I know some of the guys were talking about just one side, but this early in the race, you'd to take all 4.
Yeah, it's still a long way to go in the race, of course. And Matty Ray has indeed found himself with the lucky dog spot. So that has been some good news for Matty Ray. And I think Andy Barber is going to possibly get the wave around.
Yeah, I was
Maybe
just going to
not.
say that because I think Andy Barber stayed out. And I'm just wondering if he would be in a position. He's having to yield to Jordan and Schultz, which
Yeah.
means that he won't get the wave around because this is such a big track where you could take the wave around, come around, and take a pit stop and still make it out up to speed, all right.
That little mistake for Andy Barber, he just locked up the rears trying to avoid that incident. And unfortunately, he gave the wall a little nudge, and that would have given him a 0x or a 1x, and that means you do not get the lucky dog position, unfortunately. So it's been a really tough night for Andy Barber tonight, really feeling for him in the 194.
Yeah, he just needs to keep sticking with it though. I mean, as we saw with this heat, those tyres are only good for 25 laps, so that's going to put us probably around about 50, 55 laps where we start seeing cars hanging it out sideways again, and there might be another caution and he can jump in then.
Absolutely, it's you got to just keep going at it and just keep on trucking on, because you never know how it's going to go, and sometimes you can get yourself you can get that lucky little moment and get yourself back into the race. Matty Ray for the SRM Mobile Braking Mechanical team has done that as he's coming out of pit lane now. He got a few little extra repairs done. He got the lucky dog position. He's come into pit lane, got his tyres, got his fuel. Coming back out there as the cars start forming up 2 by 2 here, and up the front it is music to the inside lane production team's ears, because they have got the front row locked out. Jai Schultz, Kobe Jordan up the front at the moment. Neil Pearson, Andrew Dyson behind for DPR. Stevie Dubb sitting there as well. He is going to be hoping to try and get the trifecta for DPR tonight, something I don't think they've done this season yet in ANZCAR. Let's get all 3 cars on the podium. Lachlan Cleo sits back in 6th position. He had a nice, quick, clean pit stop, got himself out in front of a couple of people. Dave Douglas, Jamie Lancurvis, Phil Otto, Riley Curtis. That's our top 10 at the moment. And plenty of action still to come here at Pocono tonight for the tricky triangle. It is round number 21 of the 36 here for the ANZCAR Cup.
Yeah, I've just been having a look at Matty Ray's car on the roll around, and I tell you what, that car is still looking very second hand.
Yeah, it took a fairly big whack, unfortunately. It looks fine from that angle. If we just keep it on that angle, it's fine. But as soon as you get to the right-hand side, it is absolutely a dog's dinner. The right front is very, very damaged, unfortunately. So it's going to be a long old night for the team leader there, Mr. Matty Ray. But you never discount Matty Ray from a race, because you never know when he's going to come back and strike.
That's right. But this restart, these inside line boys have to get right, because they got 3 very angry DPR cars behind them.
To the restart zone they go. Jai's waiting, drops the loud pedal, gets away nicely. Both of them get away nicely, no spinning of tyres. They're just pulling away at an even pace. Jai jumps up to the high line, gives Kobe a little bit of air, just dragging him along a little bit. Neil Pearson trying to get down low, trying to make up the positions early. Kobe just running up high. He's got to be careful running that high, because it's easy to clip the wall on the exit. Fresh tyres, though, will help him as they're side by side still. Coming down the second straight up towards turn 2. Tricky corner, this one. It's got a tunnel underneath it with a nasty bump. Very easy to have an accident through this corner. as they make it through. Neil Pearson moving his way up into second. The rest of the field making it through as we get back to the racing. 50 laps to go here.
Jai's driving this track very straight. He's not putting any pressure on those tyres. You can see him just let the car drift and no pressure on the rubber at all.
Yeah, he's keeping it very smooth. That's going to pay off in the latter stages of the stint, and I wonder how many people have done a few changes here as well, dropping that rear tyre pressure to try and get it so it's not quite as hot, and not quite as high pressure as well. That could definitely help him in this stage of the race and give him a little bit more longevity as we see them getting back to racing speed. As Neil Pearson collects the wall there. Cody Jordan just lifts off a little bit, and that's going to give Dyson the opportunity to make the move. All you need to do is have a tiny pipette worth of blood into an ocean. Dyson will smell that blood and make a move, and he does indeed do that right there.
Yeah, definitely. And Lockie's there now up into fifth place, so that's a good restart from him. We see Stevie Dubb drop back 2 spots, but you can never count him out of anything that he's involved in.
And but a race like tonight, where it is really going to benefit people just keeping their tyres alive, not pushing too hard on the starts, could be a key factor for the latter stages, as Neil Pearson's looking to make a move up into the lead. Here he goes through turn 2. Neil Pearson takes the lead. Jai Schultz tries to do the up and under, can't quite get the speed through the corner as the 62 moves it back up into the lead. Andrew Dyson there sitting behind thinking, yep, I'm going to try to see when I can make my move. I'm going to wait until you make the tiniest hint of a mistake, and then I will jump straight on you.
Yeah, Pearson did a great job there. He just got inside of Jai and held him up high, and that gave Pearson the ideal line through that turn 2.
Yeah, makes a big difference getting that perfect line through too. There's a lot of momentum you carry through there. And if you get that line right, you've got a nice long straight after that to use that speed to your advantage, as we see happening throughout the field. JCW working his way back up through the field after that early moment. We saw him having a big sideways moment coming out of free, and he's managed to scavenge his way back up into this group of cars. He got quite a few repairs done, but he's had a lightning restart. He's really worked his way up the field nicely.
And Nan Curvis sitting there in 7th. He's done a fantastic job for starting 22nd. So keep an eye on that Black Arrows car.
Fastest car out there at the moment. Just set the fastest lap of the race of 53.805. So 53.8 dead. A very nice lap there from Jamie Nankervis. And he's going to be hoping to get a solid top 10 finish here tonight at Pocono. And you would not write that man off for that opportunity, as they are starting to sort of settle into single file at the moment, not pushing too hard. I think a lot of drivers have learned a lot from that early, that first run, and they're sort of learned not to push it too much in this sort of in this early stage, to not overdo it, because I think a lot of drivers got caught out by surprise by the degradation.
Yeah, definitely. Jamie would definitely be looking for a better show here than he had in the Xfinity cars just a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, he was racing with Barry Neal and got loose and into the wall, and that was the night over for both Jamie and Barry. So Barry's not had a good run here this season this year at Pocono.
Absolutely not, as we saw on screen there. Jai Schultz battling it out with Andrew Dyson as Dyson moves his way up into second. Jai not giving up any time though. He's keeping himself right on the rear of that DPR car, seeing if he can make his attack and move his way back up there. So yielding a position sort of at this moment, but keeping himself up into speed. That's a really wise thing to do at the moment. Kobe Jordan doing a good job as well, keeping himself up in fourth, ahead of Lachlan Urquio, and having a very strong restart there, and keeping himself up the top of this field.
Now it's just a matter of playing the waiting game. Keep the cars under you, keep the rubber fresh, or as fresh as you can, and just wait for someone to make a mistake. Although now Jai, you can see Jai really starting to put pressure back on the rear Dyson.
It's not always a bad place to be, actually. If you've got a car in front of it you can keep pace with, and sort of keep your speed up there. You know, Pocono is a place where you can just get dragged along by that car in front of you. Obviously, you're going to get a little bit more heat into there, but it sort of keeps it's a place where you can really keep yourself right close to the cars in front of you and keep up some good speed.
Yeah, this place is really all about momentum. As you said, Carl, you've got to be careful here when you get back on the loud pedal, not to break those rear tyres loose, get sideways. You just want to keep that forward momentum going.
Momentum is a big thing though here at Pocono. It is a huge thing to get working.
Yeah, it definitely is, and if you are with these three at the front, you've got a nice little draft going, so they'll want to be staying in that draft with each other.
Yeah, that draft is really crucial to keep yourself into, because it's very easy to fall out of that and then just find yourself dropping back very quickly. But everybody doing a good job at the moment. We've got a relatively decent train of cars at the moment. A couple of gaps starting to appear through the field, but from first down to what about 12th, it's pretty much nose to tail. So they're doing a good job of sort of keeping themselves relatively close to each other.
You can see there through that turn 3, there's 3 different lines that these guys have taken. Pearson is just half a car off that inside line. Dyson's right on it, and Jai's running about mid-track through that turn.
Yeah, it's keeping a good position at the moment, and you know, just keeping that car just out of the dirty air, sort of getting a little bit of fresh air on the front of Jai's car is a really good position for it to be in. And he's just sticking to these 2 DPR cars perfectly. Kobe's doing a great job as well behind. He's not losing too much speed, but he's keeping himself ahead of Lachlan Urquio, and it's just keeping these guys in the fight at the moment. Jai has a little moment there. Through 2, gets a little bit sideways, but keeps it going.
Yeah, that little bit of a sideways has just dropped him off a car length or 2. So let's see if he can get back in, catch that draft back up and close in again.
Yeah, it's just got to take a couple of moments, just reset, just get yourself back into the swing of things, get your head cleared out as well after a little mistake like that, just so you don't make another one, because nothing worse than sort of making a mistake and then getting too hard on yourself and making a secondary mistake after that. They can start snowballing from there. But they're doing a good job at the moment, keeping themselves in this race. Lachlan Urquio looking like he is about to pounce on the 080. He's getting very racy behind right now and looking like he wants to make the move. And we saw some good pace from him in that first stint.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just watching Pearson then, mate, and we're on lap 12 of this stint, and his tyres just broke loose a little bit through that turn 2. So we can already see that Pearson's pushed hard, and it's starting to have an effect on those tyres already.
And we saw last run, we saw Neil having a very strong run towards the end of the stint, and maybe he's just gone a little bit too hard too early this time round. and it's starting to... Well, it's just starting to not work, because here comes Dyson down the inside. He goes and makes the move on Pearson through turn 2. Neil's looking to get a run now. He's got the draft right behind the 41. There's the 62. He's looking to go up high. He's going to try and get a much higher entry, try and get low in the corner and try and get underneath Dyson. Dyson's positioning the car there just to block a little bit. Gets a little bit loose. He keeps it in the right direction. Stevie Dub has a moment behind, but Pearson's going to have the better run out the corner here. Drag race down to turn number 1. They're getting very, very close with each other again. And, well, we've seen these two make contact as contact prior. We saw Andrew Dyson on the naughty step recently after just having a couple of bad bumps in drafting and finding himself with a commentary booth job for a race. So it's not unheard of for these two to get together.
Definitely. Now, if I was Jai, I'd be just trying to stay there, give himself a little bit of room. So if these guys do touch, Lachlan Urkleo in the background, really sideways. Back to what I was saying. If I was Jai, I'd just be hanging back just that little bit to make sure he can get out of trouble if these two touch and turn each other around.
Yeah, you sort of don't want to lose too much time, but you've also got to be thinking about that.
Well, I was just looking and seeing that the track temperature's come down, but it looks like those tyres are, we're starting to get near that 20 lap mark, but they're starting to get a bit sideways off the corner again.
Yeah, these guys have been pushing hard, Matt, from the word go. We've seen them really push hard those first 3 or 4 laps. So I think that has done some damage already. So they just need.
Yeah, they just need to try and cool them down a little bit now. Just have a couple of laps where they're not pushing as hard as... Oh, Carol Wallen into Stevie Dub. He puts him back in the right direction and gets himself past. As Stevie Dub will note that one down for future moments. JCW doing a nice little bump and run and saving Stevie Dub's life there, as Brenton Henderson has a moment in the background too.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right. We all have the random cough come through when we're talking at the most inconvenient time. That's all right. But yeah, we're starting to see cars kicking sideways, losing momentum, which means which gives the car behind them a chance to have a run, try and get a pass, and then if there's a little bit of kicking sideways again, it sort of ends up a bit messy. Oof. Henderson's just popped out and back in again.
Yeah, that was almost a huge moment, but that's not going to help Stevie Dub's tyres at all, as they are getting very, very tricky to drive here, and they'll all be thinking about a new set of tyres. Of course, 5 sets of tyres for the Cup Series, so they start with a set, and they got 4 sets to change throughout the race. So plenty of sets to change around onto, but a night like tonight, you want to make sure you've got a spare set up your sleeve.
Yeah, if we go into overtime, you definitely want the freshest tyres that you can. So, they can split this last section in 2 and come in and take tyres. But I think what you'll find is some guys will end up taking just right side tyres to the working side.
So we see Lachlan Urquhart making the move there on Kobe Jordan, putting him out of position, and Jamie Nankervis said, yep, thank you very much, I'll take that spot as well, as Kobe drops down into 6th position. But with it being more, I think it's a little bit more heat than full wear, as who was that having a big moment there? It was Lachlan Urquhart.
Yeah, Lachlan just got sideways, and that's opened the door for Jamie. Great job from Jamie to miss the rear end of that car. Back up front, mate. We've got a battle against the first. Dyson's taking the lead.
That was a big, big moment for Lockie as Neil Pearson makes his way back here. The fight up the front has been frenetic tonight, and they are racing each other very hard at the moment. As every time I look at the time screen, it's a new person leading between Dyson and Pearson. They are both racing each other very hard. Pearson getting a better run out the corner on the high side. Dyson getting a better run through the corner on the shorter part of the track on the inside. Dyson has got the move done now, and he's going to slide himself up as Pearson takes a huge lick into the wall. That costs him so much momentum. It gives Jai Schultz the opportunity to get the run.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, through turn 2, you've seen Dyson's car get a little bit squirrely and brake traction at the rear end, but it wasn't enough to hurt him.
It's a innate talent that he has got. He's able to just keep those cars in the right direction. It's not very often we see Dyson spinning a car, not intentionally at least. It sort of, he's very good at keeping the rear of these things alive. And, it's one of those skills that really pays off, similar to Toby Stent as well. A bit of drifting experience can really help in that line of work. As JCW is making a move on Urquio now as well. Plenty of action going on the track at the moment, as Neil Pearson's trying to get the run on Jai too. There is it's always a nice problem to have. Too much action going on the track to try and keep our eyes on it. At times like this, you need to be a spider or a fly or something with multiple eyes.
Yeah, definitely. And look, I've said it before, the 3 series that we broadcast over the 2 broadcast stations has been absolutely fantastic racing, right up and down throughout the field. We've said it earlier, Carl, that the oval track racing in Australia and New Zealand has come so far in the last few years that it's not funny anymore. And we see this week in, week out, battles right throughout the field.
Absolutely, it makes it harder for us part-timers to jump in and have a good race and get some good finishes out of it, doesn't it?
Yeah, most definitely.
Dave Douglas working his way up the field now, the 10 coming alive now, and I reckon Dave has just been sitting back there, not pushing too hard. He has come alive in this part of the race, and I reckon he has just been keeping those tyres in a nicer operating window, not getting too much heat in the rears, keeping them nice and healthy, making sure there's a nice bit of meat on the tyres to get him racing in this part of the race. 31 laps remaining, 49 into the race. So it's getting to that point where we might see some pit stops, I reckon, as Jai has a bit of a moment coming out of turn 2, and that's given Pearson the opportunity to get up high, have a bit of a run here. The 62 up on the high side of the 27, seeing what he can do. And will we see anybody deciding to pull it into pit lane in the near future? I reckon they're going to try and go an extra, what do you reckon, about an extra 2 or 3 laps, Mark, and then pull it into the lane for that final stop?
I think so. I'd be staying out with for a full tank run, then come in and take the full tank and change 4 tyres, because your fuel's your main factor here.
Yeah, fuel is going to be a critical thing. You want to make sure you've got enough of that to get to the end, and that's going to be a key feature of tonight's race. But it's all depending as well. I mean, it could get a bit of a moment and have a caution come out of the wrong stage as well as you come down pit lane. But I guess one good thing about Pocono is you don't tend to drop a lap when you do a green flag stop here.
No, that's right. Just seen Pearson again touch that outside wall. So he in through turn 3, he's definitely got the magnet attraction there tonight.
JCW up into P4 at the moment for Natari, just ahead of Jamie Nankervis. And JCW's back end just gets a little bit looser, just a little bit leery, but keeping it in the right direction. And this would be a very good comeback for JCW tonight after that sort of half spin he had earlier in the race. It looked like it was all over and done with for the Natari driver. But he's had a good recovery as Dave Douglas clips the wall, coming through turn 2.
The other good drive there is Phil Otto, just outside the top 10. We've seen him get moved out of the road on lap 1. So that's a good comeback for him.
Yeah, having a solid run up there tonight is the number 1 of Phil Otto in P11. He's going to be hoping to see what happens there. Ruben Phelps deciding it's time to pull it in. So the first stop has come from Ruben Phelps, who dropped away in this race. We saw him up the front battling away in the early stages. This second half, though, is really not been paying off as Kobe Jordan's making a move on Dave Douglas now for P number 7 as they go down the inside, and so close there. Kobe's had to lift off and check it up a little bit, and that's going to leave him vulnerable to Riley Curtis and Stevie Dubb as they come into turn 3 and make their move and shuffle back Kobe Jordan a little bit there. Dave Douglas getting a whole heap of sideways there. That's going to lose him so much speed. He manages to save it just about.
One good thing though, Carl, here at Pocono is that front straight is so wide. So if you do get loose and get a little bit sideways, you've got plenty of room to recover that car.
Yeah, it does mean you have a little bit more of an opportunity. But as you know, Mark, sometimes the track is never wide enough.
I just hear Kobe Jordan call him. He's coming in. Yeah, no, you're right, Carl. Sometimes it's never wide enough. You may have 80 foot, but you wish you had another 100 foot.
Alexander Sheridan has been through the lane, and now we're going to see Dave Douglas. I reckon he's deciding to pull it in. Those rear tyres have dropped off the cliff, and the number 10 casting couch entry drops it into the lane with Kobe Jordan. So we've got pit stops starting to happen throughout the field. Let's see how this one turns out. Plenty of action still to come. Lots of action on track at the moment as we see the 093 of Riley Curtis in that lovely looking paint job, having a very solid run up at the moment, up 13 positions in P7.
Alexander Sheridan has now gone a lap down after his pit stop. Just come out in between Dyson and Pearson. Guy Phelps in the pit lane this time by. Stevie Dubb in pit lane.
Yeah, we're starting to see those leaders trickle in, and only a matter of time before we see the rest deciding to pull the pin. And you don't want to leave it too late, of course, because that can leave you very vulnerable. You don't want to go too early, you don't want to go too late. It's always a tricky thing, isn't it, Mark? Because if you go too early, you can be vulnerable in the last half of the race. If you go in too soon, you can be very vulnerable in the early stages. So there's always a balancing act of when to come into pit lane.
Yeah, but as I said, Carl, this stint I'd probably run to the end of the field and then pull it in and do those changes and final fuel for the race. JCW, Jamie Nankervis, Phil Otto win.
Big group of cars there slamming on the brakes, and look, it's not an easy pit lane to get in sometimes, this one. Very easy to make a mistake getting in to the lane, and if you brake a little bit too early, you can speed down pit lane, and that is very costly on a track like this. One good thing, I guess, is you do just use the brakes a tiny bit here as you're going through those corners, just a tiny little drag of the brake here and there through the turns here at Pocono. So you're not going in on freezing cold brakes, at least.
No, that's it.
And lap 57 as Dyson will cross the line. 23 laps to go, and they are chugging along at the moment. Urquio's decided to pull it down into pit lane this time round. Tristan Koch, Brad Fenley, Shane Bowen all in the lane as well. And now we're starting to see some of those leaders sort of getting caught up to by some of the cars that have come down pit lane. Sheridan and Ruben Phelps are all over the back of Neil Pearson. And I don't know what's happened to Ruben Phelps in this race. He's obviously had to come down. He came down pit lane, so that cost him a bit of time. But he was right up there with the leaders in that first stint, Mark.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just hearing Dyson is in and Pearson's going to be in.
DPR pulling the trigger now, bringing it into pit lane, and they will drop it in and make sure to go through the lane at the right speed. Of course, no pit limiter in these cars, so you've got to do it all the old-fashioned way, looking at the speedo. Well, looking at the tacho rule light, because they don't even have a speedo, but it is a very tricky thing to do, and this will give Phil Otto the lead and give him that nice little bonus point. Christopher Tomlin up in P2 at the moment as they come charging through. Now, where will Jai Schultz come out in respects to Dyson and Pearson? Should be coming out in front of them by a little bit. He's just coming down at the start-finish straight now. Dyson's just come off of his jacks. He's getting up to speed now. Jai Schultz, is he going to be able to jump Dyson here? It's going to be close, but not going to be a chance for Jai Schultz. Andrew Dyson lightning stopped there, you've got to say. He's back out and up to speed already. Very good stop there from Andrew Dyson. Wasn't that far in front of Neil Pearson when they came in, but he's gapped a huge amount coming out of the lane.
Yeah, he's got 3 seconds over Joy on the re-entry.
And that's
so
all.
That's a blistering stop for him.
Again, he is just so good at getting the car stopped and getting it right on the right points, right marks, getting it slowed down in time. He is a master of that, and he gains so much time through pit lane. It's one of those things that he is very, very good at. And, well, as we say, he gained a lot of time over Neil Pearson there, almost 5 seconds over Pearson, just from that stop alone. Stationary time was not that much difference. The pit lane transition time, about 3 seconds difference between himself and Neil Pearson. Neil had a bit of a rough time down pit lane, but Dyson was really, really on it there.
And this is the real battle now between JCW and Pearson. It's going to be interesting to see how these two battle each other, Ford versus Chev.
Yeah, as they battle it out behind the Toyota, of course. The Toyota in its rightful place, leading those two cars.
But of course, the Chev's out in front.
Yeah, we don't count Dyson. He doesn't count. So, the pit stops have been done and dusted. Some big gainers through pit lane. Just sort of having a glance through the orders. Dave Douglas has managed to get himself back up into P5. Norman Clark has had a good run. He's up in 12th position at the moment. He's managed to jump quite a few people as well. So he's had a fairly good run through pit lane as he's just ahead of Brenton Henderson. Just got past Phil Otto there.
Yeah, the gentleman racer, he's always thereabouts towards the end of these longer races.
Yeah, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If there's one car I do not like to see behind me, it is Norman Clark, especially towards the end of a race, because I know it's going to be a hard run to the finish line.
Yeah, it's he just knows how to position the car to make you really have to work for the run.
Very much so. As we see JCW and Neil Pearson really fighting it out here for P3 and P4, the final step of the podium. And JCW has got some really good speed at the moment. As we said, we saw him having a bit of a moment earlier in the race, but he's come alive in this second half. Seems to be much more comfortable in that car, and he's really getting some good pace out of it.
Yeah, it definitely is. Now that gap up front is nearly out to 4 seconds between Dyson and Schultz. So Dyson's been able to do his usual thing and drive away from the field again tonight.
Yeah, last time round, Dyson set a blisteringly quick 53.64, the fastest lap of the race by, well, some margin. The fastest lap prior was a 53.8, so that just shows he's got a little bit of speed in his back pocket if he needs to use it, and that was not draft assisted either.
He just seems to know how to make these things go forward. With this hybrid setup, these DPR cars have really got on top of it very quickly.
Yeah, they are very, very good. It's 53.5 there for Andrew Dyson. Again, no draft assistance. That is a very quick lap around Pocono. He is just so good at getting this car switched on. He's very good at getting the car, just carrying the speed, and he's just able to just carry it so close to the wall. And, it's just the confidence to carry it so quick as well. When he switches it on, he is very fast indeed.
Yeah, just watching him through 1 and 2, through 1 and 2, you can really see how close he does get to that outside wall off the turns, and it's millimetre perfect.
Yeah, much, much braver man than I am, as we see the battle still going on between JCW and Neil Pearson. Pearson just starting to get a little bit of a gap here, and just filling himself out as, again, third lap in a row for the fastest lap, 53.5 dead on the bullet there. So Dyson is really, really going for it as Pearson gets a little bit tight, and then JCW gets a little bit loose, and they just balance each other out and keep each other at the same sort of position. Jai Schultz doing a good job of bridging the gap over Neil Pearson. So managed to get about 2 seconds on Pearson at the moment. He's sort of in no man's land as it stands, but he will not be too disappointed to see himself getting a little bit of a gap over Neil Pearson. Dave Douglas sits back in 5th position, and he is he's sort of the cork in the bottle for the rest of the field at the moment. Jamie Nankervis putting all the pressure he can on him, trying to get himself up a position. Stevie Dubb getting very close to the wall again. Lachlan Urquhart battling with him, and Riley Curtis too.
Toby Jordan's still thereabouts. He's still inside the top 10. So he won't be having it. He'd be happy with that.
Yeah, good night for the inside lane cars of Jordan and Jai Schultz tonight. They've been having a really solid run. And Christopher Tomlin had some good pace as well. He's up 7 positions from the start of the race too. But we did see him having a moment and getting caught up as, round goes Norman Clark. And that's going to bring the caution out. Brenton Henderson and Norman Clark making contact with each other there. So let's see the replay here. As that was going on, Dave had a huge moment, almost lost a position to Jamie Nankervis. The caution saved his life. But let's see what's happened between Norman Clark and Brenton Henderson. So it looks like Henderson's got a better run out the corner there. He's going to run, using a double draft from Phil Otto, and Norman Clark goes to make the move, and Norman's just moved down a tiny bit, made contact with the side, and round she goes.
Christopher Tomlin did well there to miss that. That 81 car of Brendan Henderson coming up track. So some good awareness there.
Yeah, keeping yourself well out of trouble. And look, that's what you got to do sometimes. It is vitally important to just avoid those moments. And, nice thing about having some room on the track is you can make those decisions. Brad Fenley dropping down low, just squeaking his way through as everybody makes their way through. And we'll see how badly those cars are damaged. Doesn't look like there's too much damage on Norman Clark's car. So he might have got away relatively unscathed, same as Brenton Henderson. A little bit more damage maybe on Brenton's car, but they are relatively unscathed, as it's a last-minute dive for pit lane. Dyson was thinking, oh, I'll throw a dummy here, see if anybody stays out with me.
Phil Otto stayed out.
Okie dokie.
Phil Otto has taken the gamble and has stayed out.
He has decided to see what he can do here. Now, we were saying that, tyre wear might not be the major factor. It's more like the tyre heat that's really been the killer tonight. Phil's only done 8 laps on these tyres. So he's not looking to win the race, but he could be looking to get himself in the top 10 here.
Yeah, it's definitely a good chance. And I can tell you, just about everyone down pit lane took 4 tyres there.
Ryan Jones, he took 2 sets of tyres. He's the only one that took 2 tyres. Everybody else took all 4. And finally, Andy Barber is back on the lead lap tonight. It has been a long time coming for Andy Barber. It has been a horrible, horrible night. But finally, the car is back on the lead lap. It's been a long, long time for the Southern Stars Esports entry. But he's going to be pretty happy to at least be on the lead lap for the final run to the flag.
Yeah, he's stuck it out and done the hard yards, and it's moved him up 2 spots. So it's good to see him get a good result, well, a better result. He's up 4 spots now from where he started.
Somebody that didn't have a good stop was Neil Pearson. He had a long time in pit lane, 25 seconds stationary. I wonder if he had to adjust something or fix something, because he was stationary for a long, long time there. Not enough for a penalty by the looks of things, but he was just in there for a little bit longer, 25 seconds stationary. So about 10 seconds more than anybody else. And maybe it was just a couple of quick repairs, because he has struck the wall a couple of times. But that has cost him a huge amount of spots. That's dropped him down to the back of the field.
Yeah, I think he came in and just had to get some repairs done down that right side, because we've seen him touch the wall a couple of times through this race. So maybe he's had to make a fine adjustment and just get those couple of repairs done. Andy Barber has been able to get back in the pit lane and get a fresh set of tyres on. So let's see what he can do.
Absolutely, and I wonder if Neil's just banking on maybe a little bit of roughness up the front of the field, and he's sort of dropped back, sort of thinking, I want to stay back here a little bit, just in case there is a big accident towards the front, so I can kind of avoid it. Because, well, we've got a car on old tyres, Phil Otto, a car on one side fresh, one side old in Ryan Jones, and then we have very, very fast racy drivers, Andrew Dyson and Jai Schultz, Joshua Carroll Walden and Lachlan Urquio, Dave Douglas, Riley Curtis, Kobe Jordan and Stevie Dubb. There's going to be a lot of racing going on between these guys as we go back to green.
Right, NASCAR racing inside the last 15 laps. Of course, there's not going to be any roughness in this race.
No, absolutely not. It's going to be Formula One-esque, isn't it? No touching. Everybody's going to be polite. No, here, take this position, please do. Yes, I don't see that somehow. It's going to be Phil Otto leading us away for Kingsman Racing. Nice to see Phil up at the front of the field. He's coming into the restart zone now. Waiting, puts his foot down and gets away nicely. Nice start there from Phil Otto. 11 laps to go here tonight. Ryan Jones putting on the pressure, trying to move down on Dyson quickly, trying to not let that car get away. But we are back to green flag racing. Remember, Ryan's got some fresh side on and some fresh tyres on one side, one on the other, and he's not looking good through that first corner. He has a bit of a moment, but keeps it pointing in the right direction. Phil Otto's got some nice warm tyres straight out the box, and he's taking advantage of it at the moment. Seeing what he can do here out the front, taking advantage of that tyre warmth, but Dyson is coming up thick and fast behind him. Otto just gets a little bit tight coming through turn 2, and that's given Dyson an opportunity. They're 3 wide with Jai Schultz, Joshua Carroll Walden, and can't see who's out on the high line. I think it might be Dave Douglas. They are really racing hard behind there. They're keeping the cars in the right direction. No wrecking just as of yet.
Nah, not yet. It's still what, 11 laps to go, 12 laps to go. So, yeah, I reckon we'll see some desperate moves in the last 2 or 3 laps.
And, well, we now have said Cash Bart's might be a little bit better. It's just got a little bit worse because he's managed to get himself a penalty with that maybe going down pit lane a little bit too fast. So he's had to come in and serve that penalty. Oh, it's been a night to forget for the 194. But they are racing hard behind. Phil Otto's lost the lead, but he's still up in second. He's got Ryan Jones right behind him, but the main battle is here. Riley Curtis, Dave Douglas side by side with each other. Really racing hard. Jai Schultz and Lachlan Urquio just rubbing paint as Urquio gets a huge netcode moment there and just gets shoved right up into the wall. Oh, it wasn't actually. Looks like I'd say that was netcode / maybe a moment for Urquio. It's a huge crash for Lockie though. The 42 had a bit of a snap coming through the corner. Watching it from the high side, watch the car. He'll have a moment coming through the corner. He snaps down, and the car just snaps straight up into the wall and has a huge wreck. Unfortunately, it catches one of the Cobalt racing cars of Sheridan. And Tristan Koch with Norman Clark, they both got heavy damage. Let's see what happened here. This was a bit of a bizarre one.
Sorry, it looks like the replay's taken us back half an hour.
Yeah. So
maybe this
yeah,
is it.
I think it might have been a little bit netcode, a little bit loss of traction because he just snaps, and it's almost like it just got really tight, and then just boom, up it goes. And yeah, try from a different angle because yeah, it just has a little snap and then bang. And I don't know if there was maybe a little bit of netcode that made it worse, or if it was just a pure snap and it just corrected. But that is night over and done with for some of those drivers, unfortunately.
But what, Kobe was lucky not to get involved in that.
Yeah, unfortunately, Tristan Koch was not so lucky. Same with Alexander Sheridan. They both got some heavy damage. As I say, there was nobody close to touch him in that respect. So almost just looked like a snap, and it just corrected the wrong way, unfortunately, for Lockie. And, well, big damage on the 42 SRM machine. And you see there, Sheridan gets clipped. And then, unfortunately, for Tristan Koch, nowhere to go. Big impact in the front there. That's his engine donezo. And then Norman Clark, he has nowhere to go. T-bones Tristan Koch. And, well, that's night done for those cars.
Very weird incident though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was.
Unfortunate for both, for all three drivers there. And, yeah, they'll be licking some wounds, I'd say.
Yeah, it was just... I mean, can we jump on board, Matt?
Mm-hmm. With Lockie?
Yes, please. So it just looked like it snapped and it just overcorrected. It just was a really weird little incident. And just the back end steps out and then all of a sudden, boom, overcorrects it, and unfortunately into the wall, heavy impact. And yeah, as I said, it just a big accident there, unfortunately, and that is that was a big mistake.
So we've seen some close racing on that last restart. What's it going to be like now, Carl?
Yeah, absolutely. They are going to get very thick and fast as the laps are starting to close down. I'll say it again. Somewhat good news for Andy Barber, but he is down a lap again. So it could have been worse, I guess. Hopefully, he might even get that lap back eventually, and find himself on the lead lap for a racing lap. He has not had the best luck tonight, unfortunately. But yeah, I think we're gonna see the aggression levels turned up to 11 here. Dyson is going to be leading the way, and just watch out for those cars behind him. Remember, Phil Otto's on some older tyres. His tyres have done 14 laps. Ryan Jones, he's got some old tyres on one side and some fresher on the other side. And then you've got a whole heap of angry cars behind them that are going to be very hungry for a win. So as the pack starts to line up 2 by 2, getting ready for the restart here tonight. And they're going to see what they can get done here at Pocono. So we're getting through turn 2, and about a couple of minutes we'll be ready for this restart. It's a big old track, and you really feel how long this track is under pace car conditions. You really notice just how long it takes to get around this place. So who's your money on? For this restart, we're going to find out in just a couple of moments. The pace car is about to pull in, and we are going to go green flag here at Pocono. Dyson leads them away, and we are green once again here at Pocono.
My money's on a Dyson Jones one too.
Yeah, it's very possible seeing Jonesy up in second place. You know, that's the only way it can be with Dyson in front of him. Phil doing a good job at the moment, keeping Jonesy behind him, keeping that cars at bay. Dave Douglas down the inside at the moment, racing hard. He's got JCW behind him. Jai Schultz poking his nose out, thinking about a move here as well. As Riley gets a little bit tight in the mid-corner, but keeps it going in the right direction. As they're racing down through the pack at the moment, and it is very tight stuff. JCW gets a little bit squirrely in the mid-corner, and they all keep it in the right direction there. That could have been nasty, but good job from all the drivers to keep it pointing in the right direction. That could have been a big accident there, and they're still 3 wide as they come into turn 1. Neil Pearson fighting his way back up through the field. He's up to P7 already. He is flying his way through the field behind Jai Schultz, and he is really siphoning his way up through this pack now. Ruben Phelps, could he come back into this as well? Down the inside goes Stevie Dub for DPR, and he's looking to make a move, but Jai Schultz gets in front of him, trying to make Cope Jordan even gets down in front of him, trying to make a move on Pearson. Doesn't quite make it happen, but with that, Jordan's just defended that spot. They are racing very hard at the moment. Otto doing a great job keeping that car up in P2. Ryan Jones just behind him with Riley Curtis in 4th. Dave Douglas in front. Stevie Dub has gone around, and we are wrecking down the front straight, and there's a lot of cars involved in this one. Christopher Tomlin getting caught up in that one, as well as Stevie Dub and Joshua Carroll Walden.
When we get a minute, we'll get Rocky in to have a quick chat. We've got him in the infield care centre.
Okie dokie.
Just dissect this one at the moment, Carl.
So let's see what happens here. JCW 3 wide, Kobe Jordan on the high side as they're coming through the corner. Let's see what happens here with these cars and see what brings this caution flag out. Dropping to 2 wide, side by side Stevie Dub, JCW there really fighting hard, and then Stevie Dub just looks like he might wander up the track a little bit as he gets a little bit of a wobble on through the corner. So watch through the exit of this corner. This is going to be where Stevie Dub has a bit of oversteer and snaps up in front of JCW. A very sort of similar sort of moment to what we saw last time out for the caution. Sort of the car just sort of going a little bit light in the mid corner and then snapping up the field. And then that brings a big old shunt for Carol Walden and Stevie Dubb.
Oh, Jamie Nankervis very lucky to avoid that.
Christopher
Oh,
Tomlin
he
got
didn't.
caught heavily. Christopher Tomlin got caught very heavily with that one as well. Oh, something's just fallen off my windowsill. Mark, I'll let you grab Dan Lockie.
Okay. Got a copy there, Lockie?
Yeah, loud and clear, boys. Loud and clear.
Mate, not a great night for the SRM car tonight. What happened? Talk us through what actually happened.
Well, first of all, I actually thought it was a really good night. We had the setup dialed in really well. We one of the fastest cars out there, and I was really enjoying it. But I mean, I got to choose my words carefully here. But it's just really frustrating, some of the goings on late in the race. It seems like everyone has this idea that as soon as there's 10, 15 laps to go, we'll just drive through everyone. So, I mean, what it ended up happening in the end was I got hit on corner entry and a car was lost from that point. And as we know, with the way this diffuser works and the downforce, once you lose the car, you can't catch it. So it looked prolonged and it looked like I lost it late, but no, it was gone from the moment I got tagged.
Okay. Not a great night then. In the end, as you said, you had some great speed. You'd had fallen back through the pack, and had worked your way back up to the front. It's definitely not a way you or the team would have liked the night to end.
No, and I mean, look, the other boys have got the pace now. We tuned ourselves up together, so we're all running well now. But it's just not what I want. Especially, I mean, I know I've got the points buffer, but I didn't want to keep eating into it. So I was hoping to have a nice solid run tonight, top 10, top 5, build it up again. But yeah, that's how the cookie crumbles, onwards and upwards, as they say.
Yeah, very unfortunate for you, mate. Yeah. On the next week, I can't even remember where we travel to next week.
I think it's Richmond next week, which track I fancy a little bit, but it's very competitive out there and it's often quite messy, that race. So
yeah, all right, mate. Well, hard luck for tonight. One good thing you can take away is that you guys are really starting to get on top of this setup game.
Yeah, we've put a lot of effort into getting it right, and we're starting to get some gains out of it for sure. Just like to show it on the racetrack.
All right, mate. Well, thanks for your time tonight. Hopefully next week you can have a bit better turnout or showing, and get back up into those points where you really need to be.
Yeah. Cheers, fellas. Have a good call.
Thanks, Lockie. Thanks for your time, mate.
Yeah, I'll say it's good to have it explained what happened there, because it was a bit tricky to see, because it just was such a strange moment he had on the exit. It sort of, as I was trying to dissect what happened there, but to hear it just had that little bit of contact on the entry, that explains it all, unfortunately. Hopefully next time we get Lockie up here, it'll be for better circumstances, though. We are about to get this race back underway, Mark, and, well, it's going to be a shoot to the finish. We've got 2 laps remaining, so it's almost like a false green light checker here.
Yeah, I don't want to say it. I think we'll see another one before we get the checker.
I wouldn't bet against it. I'll say that one. Pace car is pulling in, and it's going to be Dyson leading away into the restart start zone. He comes. Phil Otto on his outside. Puts his foot down, gets away nicely. Nice restart there for Dyson. Ryan Jones gets a good start on the low line as well. That low line's gone away very nicely this time as Neil Pearson's moving his way up. Down the inside he goes. They're 3, almost 4 wide coming into turn 1. It's up on the high side for Jai Schultz as Dave Douglas gets loose, makes contact with Pearson, and there is the wreck.
Oh, and Matty Ray's involved in that one too. Christopher Tomlin again.
Riley Curtis
unfortunately for those guys.
A lot of cars caught in that one as all. Big accident there. Let's see this one. And, well, I'm going to put this one on you, Mark. You called it. So just coming down through the corner, I think maybe the 62's just washed up a little bit in the corner.
Just ever so slightly got up into the left-hand side of Dave Douglas. And again, we see the cars are very hard to control this late. And Dave's got back into the back of Pearson, and that's turned him up into, I'm not sure who that was.
Riley Curtis.
Riley Curtis. And you see in the background there, Matty Ray has nowhere to go and comes straight into the T-Bones Pearson.
That's it. And unfortunately for Riley, he was sort of plugging along, but you can see that sort of secondary incident between Tomlin and Stevie Durbin, and Brenton Henderson's going to go right into the back of Riley Curtis as well. Heavy impact for all of those cars. There's a lot of cars there that have taken a big lick of damage.
Dave actually may have got out of that reasonably unscathed. Like, he got hit from both sides, but his car actually doesn't look too bad. And unfortunately for Tomlin, again the same thing. Lost control. Probably tried to overcorrect it just that little bit, and that's turned him back up into Williams.
Yeah, that's it's easy to do, and these things are not easy to control at the best of times. When there's a big accident happening in front of you, and you're just sort of you're hyper aware of all that's going on around you as well. You're sort of looking around, trying to figure out what's going on, trying to figure out who's where and who's doing what, and it can really sort of catch you out a little bit. And it's not the easiest thing to do. It takes a lot of brain power to drive these cars sometimes.
Yeah, but look up back up the front. We got Dyson, Riley Jones or Phil Otto, Guy Schultz and Ruben Phelps.
Yeah, it's a decent field of cars up there, and some very quick ones as well. It's nice to see Phil up there. It's paid off. His gamble for sticking out there on old tyres is really paying off at the moment for Phil Otto. Good to see that one working. Ruben Phelps has come from, well, as we said, he dropped right back in this race, but he's managed to work himself up there, and I know Ruben is quick on this track. Kobe Jordan in 6th is having a very solid run tonight, kept himself out of trouble. That's the important thing to do. JCW's had one of those nights that it's almost been a tricky one indeed, because he had a big spin, he's had a couple of moments, but he's still up there in 7th. Jamie Curvis in 8th, having a solid run. Brad Fenley and Dave Douglas, the cat is doing well, Mr. Dave Douglas. He's used up about 7 of his 9 lives, but he is still keeping it going.
Yeah. As I said, his car doesn't look too badly damaged. So I still wouldn't count him out from getting up onto that podium. And,
in 13th position is the unluckiest man tonight, but also one of the luckiest. It's Andy Barber, who is back on the league lap. I'm going to touch some wood there. And he's finally back on the league lap and able to get some racing in. It's been a very long night in the office for Barber, but he could find himself having a good result here tonight.
Yep, just hanging out there, being out, staying out of all the trouble where he can. And he's done well. And unfortunately, my life timing's gone down.
Well, luckily we only have a couple of laps to go, so it's not too far. We can sort of keep an eye on it and talk us through this final bit. Mine's still working, but it's going to be a green-white checker here at the end. If you're new to NASCAR racing, green-white checker is effectively we're going to see the cars restart here for a final time tonight, and then the next flag will finish the race. So if we go green, white flag will finish the race, and then we'll go to the checkered flag. If we see another caution, then the race is over.
Good to see Norman Clark still out there, rolling around.
Yeah, he's managed to get the car back out there after taking a couple of heavy licks as well. Took some fairly big damage, and there's a few of those stories tonight. I think there's quite a few wounded vehicles out on track at the moment who are just going to be out there to try and collect some points, but they're not necessarily going to be getting a great finish here tonight, unfortunately. So, lining up 2 by 2, let's get ready for this race to go. It's going to be an absolute bash to the end. Pace car will be pulling in, and we are going to be fighting it out to the final lap. Going to be Dyson leading away here in the 41. He has got Jones on the outside. We are about to find out who's going to win tonight. Into the restart zone they come. Dyson puts his foot down, gets a nice start. The low line gets away nicely again. Phil Otto getting a good jump on Ryan Jones this time down on the inside. Watch for Ruben Phelps as well. He's looking to try and move his way up there as they come down to turn 1. Side by side for P2 as Phil Otto's just managed to get himself just a nose in front at the moment. Keeping himself there as behind. They are racing very hard still. It's a drag race down the straight towards turn number 2. Into the tunnel corner they come. Through the corner they go, side by side, and Phil Otto manages to keep it up there. He's just going to slide in front of Jones and gets himself up into P2. Racing behind, got Dave Douglas getting a run on Jamie and Curvis at the moment. Jai Schultz looking to battle his way through. Same for Ruben Phelps. They are pushing hard here as we come through turn 3. And we're coming up to the line. Will we be seeing the white flag coming out? Doesn't mean surrender, it just means 1 lap to go. We are going to see the checkered flag here tonight as they go down the front straight. Jones gets a great run on the inside of Phil Otto. Same for Jai Schultz. He's positioned his car nicely there. Ruben trying to make the move at the moment as they come through turn 1 for the final time tonight. It's Dyson in the lead with Jones behind him. Phil Otto in third, battling it out with Jai Schultz and Ruben Phelps coming down towards turn 2 for the final time. Dyson gets through nicely, just keeps the car positioned well. Same for Ryan Jones as he gets a big tail slide coming out the corner. That's going to cost him a little bit of momentum. Can Phil Otto pounce on that one? It's not quite close enough, but it looks like he's good for the moment. It's going to be Dyson taking victory here tonight at Pocono. Who's going to come home in the final couple of spots? Ryan Jones set to come home in second, and Phil Otto brings it home in third tonight. And there is an almighty wreck happening in the background as they cross the line. Ruben Phelps, Jai Schultz, Kobe Jordan, Dave Douglas, Brad Fenley, Joshua Carroll-Wadden, and Stevie Dub.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I'd just like to say that I predicted the
Great
top
race
2.
in the end there.
I certainly predicted the top 2 finishes, didn't I? Because Brad hasn't been around for a while, so he doesn't know, but Ryan's been finishing second to Dyson a lot, and it's been driving him crazy. So it'll be an interesting interview with him.
No, absolutely. I think he's not going to be too disappointed with tonight because it was not the easiest night in the office. Of course, it doesn't look like much because they finished the way they started. Dyson taking the victory, Jones in second. That was our front row of the grid, and that's how they finished tonight. But Phil Otto, he took the risk staying out there on old tyres, and the gamble paid off in a whole heap of ways. Great podium there for the Kingsman Racing driver.
Yeah, definitely a great race, especially with that lap 1 incident where he got pushed up track, and it was racing, but he ended up dropping to the rear, and just worked his way back through the race. Some good moves through the race, and it's paid off for him tonight.
Absolutely, that's definitely going to be a popular one in the paddock here tonight for sure. let's run through the finishing order for tonight's race. And it is Andrew Dyson taking the win here tonight, with Ryan Jones coming home in second. The bridesmaid is back up in there in the podium positions. Phil Otto comes home in third, 12 positions gained in the race. Great to see him up on the podium. Ruben Phelps comes home in fourth, 15 positions gained tonight, with Jai Schultz in fifth. Great night for the Inside Lane production guys, as Kobe Jordan comes home sixth, biggest mover and shaker of the race as well, 19 positions gained. Dave Douglas somehow kept the car alive in P7, with Brad Fenley in eighth, having a solid run inside the top 10. Joshua Carroll-Walden comes home in ninth, with Stevie Dubb in 10th. Shane Bowen will bring home the Cobalt Racing entry in 11th, with Jamie Nankervis just behind him. Andy Barber comes home in 13th position after a long, long night in the office. Maddie Ray brings it home in 14th spot. Christopher Tomlin 15th, with Riley Curtis 16th, 17th for Sheridan, Koch in 18th, 19th for Pearson, and Henderson in P20. Norman Clark comes home 21st, with Lachlan Oakwood 22nd. Daniel Hederscheid out early, with Barry, Neal, and Raymond Yeager.
It's unfortunate that Barry was was involved in something tonight, because I know he likes his track, and I think it would have been a good race at the end, even though we did have a great finishing race.
Absolutely, it was could have been a little bit closer up the front, but we got some great racing out there tonight, and a bit of an unpredictable sort of podium, we've got to say, somewhat, which is nice to see. So let us start off with our third place finisher. It is the number one car of Phil Otto tonight. Phil Otto, welcome to the booth, mate. Congratulations on a very well-deserved podium here at Pocono.
Thanks, lads. Appreciate it. Good fun race.
Well, you took a big gamble by staying out with that late caution, and it paid off very well for you.
Yeah, it sure did. If I wanted to have a top 10, I had to stay out. I had no choice. So, and the car wasn't too bad. The tyres were pretty decent. So I thought, yeah, why the hell not? Let's have a go.
Absolutely. It looks like you had some really good pace at the end as well, considering your tyres had done about sort of a good couple of laps more than the rest of the field. It didn't show.
No, but I think the 26-lap old tyres at the end, which is not too bad, I suppose. So, it's just a matter of hitting the right spot and hopefully getting the right gear change at the right spot. So.
Yes, well, that did throw a bit of a curveball. We saw you making up a lot of positions after that lap one accident, and going into the first corner, we saw you get shuffled out a little bit, and the heart must have sunk for a couple of moments there.
Oh, just a lot. I thought, here we go. I thought, that decent start, and all of a sudden these cars go past, and I thought, oh God, here we go again. We're just trying around and have some fun, and it just, I don't know, just worked out. So it's good fun.
No, absolutely. Congratulations tonight, Phil. Absolute great stuff. Getting yourself a podium here tonight as well. I mean, those last couple of restarts as well, you sort of must have been a little bit anxious.
Oh, just a hell of a lot. Especially been up with Daiso and people like him and Ryan and all the other guys. It worries you a bit. So.
Well, it did not show tonight. You absolutely kept cool under the pressure. Congratulations on P3 here tonight at Pocono, Phil. Before I let you go, the usual thing, the shout out to sponsors, people in general, anyone you want to give a shout out to tonight, go for it.
I just want to thank everybody, at Performance E-Streaming, you guys in the booth, ANZCAR for putting all this stuff on, Kingsman Racing, all the drivers. It's excellent. It's one of the best series I'm involved in. So thank you very much, lads. Excellent work.
Absolutely. A big thank you to you as well, Phil. Congratulations tonight. A very popular podium indeed.
Thanks, lads. Good job.
I'll tell you what, with comments like that, he's welcome back up here anytime.
If I keep doing that, mate, I want to come up here all the time. Thanks, lads.
Thank you, Phil Otto there. P3 tonight. Next up, it is the bridesmaid of ANZCAR. It is the man that is famous for coming second, although he's got a couple of wins under his belt now. It is Mr. Ryan Jones. Ryan, welcome to the booth, mate. Congratulations on P2 here at Pocono.
you know what? That one feels like a win. we were in trouble a few times tonight.
It wasn't the easiest P2 of your season.
No, yeah. I mean, I struggle with the cup cars. It's no secret there. I can put a quali lap together on these things now, which is great. I just still working on the race pace, trying to get my experience in the cup car up to what I have in the other two, because it's a bit lacking. Going to too many events, I've missed a lot of these races. So yeah, we were struggling, hanging on, then had that huge moment in front of Dave. Don't know how we saved that. Unfortunately, Barry got taken out, but it's probably just karma for taking me out at was it Nashville a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, we pressed on from there, hit the wall, try to dodge another wreck, and carry on.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, you had that big moment. You still carried on. You kept on going, and took a bit of a risk in your final pit stop as well.
Yeah, the 2-tire gamble. That was. I thought the car was going to be basically wrecking loose with the two right sides, because it was already a little bit loose on exit, but it worked for some reason. I don't know why. It just worked for me tonight. I think the short, sharp dashes probably helped me out a bit. If it'd gone long, I probably would have been in trouble. But I was running P30 and I was stuck behind Phil Otto. I couldn't pass him, so I just before that yellow. So I said, screw it. We'll take two. See what happens.
And then you found yourself stuck behind Phil Otto again.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I was hoping for the clean air, and with the clean air, who knows how that would have played out. But Phil stayed out. Kudos to him. He made it work pretty well, and we had to go battle to the end, and just wasn't quite close enough to get to dice on that last lap.
Absolutely. Well, we saw you sort of starting in P3, I think, on that last restart, but the first one, well, the second to last restart, you're sort of on the low line. It looked like the low line was a little bit quicker tonight.
Yeah, I don't like restarting second. Anyway, I always lose to spot when I'm restarting second, so I was happy to be down low. I know, against Phil, the slightly older tyres, I managed to hang on around the outside, and I managed to hang on around the inside a couple times. But I think it's all down to how you jump compared to the leader, and I was just doing a better job of that on the bottom.
Absolutely. You did a great job of it tonight. A little bit of a gamble. It absolutely paid off tonight with a P2 here at Pocono. Congratulations, Ryan. Now, before I let you go, the usual thing, the love, the shout out to your mum and anyone else in general, the usual thing.
Yeah, big shout out, Mum, watching on as always. And you guys put on the broadcast. Always good to go back, watch on, and see what you guys have to say, which is always interesting. And good job, Phil, as well, and Daiso, clinical as ever. It's too fast for all of us, again.
I know, we've got to find a way to beat that guy. I reckon we're going to have to chuck like a dead horse in the back of his car or something like that.
Yeah, or I might just take him out next week. We'll see what happens.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Congratulations tonight, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth soon.
Cheers, boys.
Ryan Jones at P2 tonight. Very happy with that P2 tonight. Nice to see. And finally, for DPR, it is the man that is doing very well at the moment after his short little break from the series. And he's back to his usual form. It's Andrew Dyson. Dyso, welcome to the booth, mate. Welcome back to the booth, I should say. Congratulations on victory here tonight at Pocono.
Thanks, folks. It was a good little race there at the end. That sort of, got a little spicy. It was nice.
Well, absolutely. It wasn't so cut and dry throughout the race. We saw you having to really push on through some of those laps. And, well, in the mid stages, it was battle on between yourself and your teammate.
Yeah, it was good. He was having a red hot go, and we kind of both made some changes there and didn't tell each other what we did. And then after we sort of finished off battling, I think Neil got probably a little loose or a little tight, just as he kind of crossed paths with my dirty air coming out of 3 sort of thing. At least that's what it looked like. I don't actually know what exactly happened, but yeah, after that I kind of drove away. We started chatting, and it turned out we made exactly the same change. So that's why we couldn't, there was no real difference between us. It was good. Great
minds think alike, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that, because we both went back on it because we didn't like it.
Just quickly with Mr. Pearson, what happened in that long pit stop?
Long pit stop?
During that last run for tyres during the caution. He was in pit lane for about 10 seconds longer.
If it was under yellow, he would have been taking some optionals, I think.
Okay,
he did hit the fence pretty hard just behind me there.
All right, that's what we thought was possible. So that explains that one. What about your extraordinary pace? Explain that one to us.
I don't really know, man. I mean, I like this track. I like driving the track. The racing can be a bit kind of annoying, I guess. Like, not annoying, but it's just everyone will say the same thing. As soon as you get a run on somebody and you move out, I mean, yeah, sure, you can side draft, but it's risky. But like, you don't really get a move done just by getting a run off a corner. It goes on and on and on because you kind of come down, say, off turn 3, you get a run. You're down to turn 1. Outside lane is usually better. You come down to the turn 2. If you can manage to hang on, get a bit of side draft, well, you might get it done. But you can easily go side by side through there. So it's hard track to pass on. Like with all the side draft, the cars going side by side and coming out of the corner side by side, you just get stuck in this, forever sort of side draft battle down the straights. But I mean, I like the track. Good fun. Car was really good tonight, so that helps. Like, I had a really nice balance about it. I was talking to Neil. I said it's probably just a frag on the too loose side for me, but I tried to. In saying that, I tried to tighten that up a little bit and made it not worse, but wasn't as nice to drive. So yeah, I think that sort of played into my favour a little with the setup being nearly perfect for me. Maybe it was, I just didn't realise it, but it was really nice to drive, and yeah, that helps a lot.
Well, absolutely. You definitely had some good pace out there. We were sort of commenting in the middle of the race where sort of running some green flag periods, and you're sort of absolutely hammering out the fastest lap. I think it was after that green flag stop. You just absolutely had some great pace, and didn't look like there was any draft assistance at all. You just had immense pace.
Yeah, well, I come out of the pits and saw I had sort of Jai about 3 seconds back, and I knew at that point like he had already done his couple out laps or so, and he would have theoretically his tires would be up and ready to go at that point. So I kind of need to go without thrashing the guts out of it on cold tires, go as quick as I could, sort of thing. And once they were kind of good to go, they were good to go. I guess I didn't really have to try any extra hard. It was just really gripped up and really nice. So worked out good.
No, absolutely. It was very good indeed. Look, congratulations on win number 8 of the season now.
I think so, yeah. So, yeah. So get that one back on Neil since you got one last week, the cheeky bugger.
Exactly. You've got to have one more than him. That is crucially important. You've got to be the better team, mate.
Well, that's why we were racing. And yeah, we're not. I mean, for sure, if there's like a scenario where one of us is clearly faster than the other, we're not going to make it hard. But if we're near each other, we're racing, and that's why we've nearly crashed into each other a few times. I mean, there was Nashville. We nearly crashed. I nearly crashed into him until we ended up crashing anyway. Into turn 1, but it's just we're racing, man. So we're not just dawdling around. We're trying to beat each other. So it's good fun.
Absolutely, it's great to watch up here in the booth. Look, congratulations tonight, guys. So well done indeed. Before I let you go, though, the usual thing, the lovely shout out to sponsors and people in general.
Yeah, thanks to you guys for putting the broadcast. Thanks to all the guys tuning in, watching, commenting, all that stuff. Helps the stream get out there and have a bit of a chat. It's cool. Helps the algorithm, I think they say. So thanks to those folks. And yeah, quick ones to Simrigs, South Wales, Ben Max, Pink Smokers, all the boys at DPR. Shout outs to Phil Otto. What a big dipper. What an effort. Big call. Paid off. How about that? Totally didn't see it coming.
Absolutely.
Really good.
Great gamble there for Otto.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to help him out a little bit, and but in the end, like, he was actually sending it, like he was having a real go. So that was awesome to see. And yeah, thanks to all the folks who put on the league and make it happen every week.
I'll tell you what, if Phil's going to put a bet on something, we need to take his advice.
I reckon you're right, because that was like, anything long odds, and he says, yep, go for it.
Yep, that's it. Keep your eye on Otto. Congratulations tonight, Daiso. Well done indeed, and I'm sure we'll see you back here very soon.
Thanks, guys.
Andrew Dyson there for DPR, and yeah, Phil had a nice win on the Gisbergen victory as well. So he's very good at gambling at the moment. He's on a bit of a streak. So race is over and done with a great result here at the Tricky Triangle Pocono. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us here tonight. And of course, a big thank you as well to Mr. Mark Johansson and, of course, Matt Hunter doing all the work in the background. We are going to be done and dusted for tonight, but we will have some more action for you coming up on Saturday night for the Weekend Warriors series, Mark.
Yeah, we're off to the Music City, Nashville Super Speedway, 400 miles there. And the points are getting real tight. there between 3 or 4 drivers now. So it's going to be an interesting race to see who is the man that can sing the loudest.
Absolutely. We're going to be playing some music in Nashville. And then on Sunday night, it's off to the Australasian Supercar E Series, brought to you by my private sellers, of course. And that's going to be at Matt.
Phoenix International Raceway will be the V8.
Wonderful. Great. It's
Ooh.
fun place indeed. That's going to be an interesting one for sure. So we hope you can join us there for that. And of course, we'll be back next Thursday with more action here in the ANZCAR Cup from
Richmond.
Richmond. There we go. Yeah, we said it before. Yeah, that just says how much I pay attention. But we look forward to seeing you there. Look, from all of us here at Performance E Streaming, we will wish you a good night and we'll see you again soon.